Well, this is very exciting. Bobby Joe from the Safari Life podcast is in here. It is the first time we've seen each other since we first met.
Yeah, was it December last year?
January 9th.
You got a good memory.
Because I had a booking to go and meet a hippo.
Yes, it was a day your life changed forever when you met Niall the hippo.
That was so cool. So my sister bought me a hippo experience at Western Plains Zoo at Dubbo. I've loved hippos since I was a little kid. And so when she got me that thing, I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I did a trip out there by myself to go on. Oh my gosh, I just played with hippos. Funnily enough, no, I wasn't allowed to cuddle a hippo. The mum hippo's name is Cuddles. So, Cuddles the hippo. Rabbit cuddles the hippo. That could be a headline, but then you actually find out I was just there and there was a hippo called Cuddles. Oh my God, I love hippos so much. That was so awesome. I got to throw lettuce into the hippo's mouth and it was amazing. And then when I came out, this little kid comes up to me and goes, "Are you the owner of this place?" And I said, yeah. When I turned up to join my group, there was no one else. And you were the keeper.
I know, sliding doors moment, I think.
Right? It's really funny how it all came out because I tell people about this all the time. We were just chatting about it and somewhere in there you said, yeah, I spend like 7 months of the year overseas on safaris. I was like, what? Who does that?
Yeah, me.
Yeah. I knew you'd have stories. I said, come out, jump in the van. We walked out to the pod van and that was when we discovered the A-frame on the front of it was broken.
Yeah, completely bent.
That was so bad.
Well, you handled that so well. That's what I was really impressed with. You didn't stress. You were just pretty calm about it. You were like, thankfully this happened now and not driving back to the coast.
I was so glad I spotted it. Then all the maintenance crew, or I don't know who they were, the guys that turned up in their buggy.
Keepers, actually.
Were they?
Yeah, black rhino keepers. That's who they were. And they were like, what is this? What is Bobby Joe doing in this guy's van?
Yeah, probably coming to check on you. And so anyway, you jumped in the van, then we did an episode just getting a few of your stories. I think it was on your lunch break.
Yeah, it was my lunch break. Yeah, it was awesome. It was such a great connection and the start of great things to come, really.
I mean, it's funny looking back on that and you just had no idea what was coming. Somewhere in there you said, I've always wanted to do a podcast, but I believe the words were time poor.
Yeah, and also not skilled. I'm pretty good with the computer with editing photos, but, what you do is incredible, like the editing and putting it onto Spotify and Apple and most of it I'm time poor.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that I think anyone could learn how to do it, but you should see the hours I spend doing it. I'm just a massive nerd. I hide it really well under this really cool exterior. I wasn't aware there was a joke anywhere in that.
You're forgetting that I watch your podcasts and listen to them and speak to you most days on WhatsApp.
But you wouldn't know that I'm a massive nerd. Oh, man,
not at all.
I love it. I would spend hours and hours playing around with software just to try but all with the goal of, because now these are video episodes, finding the right software to be able to do all of that and everything. And so it started off you and I emailing back and forth, and I was suggesting little lapel mics that you could get, and then you did, instantly. Yeah,
they're great to travel with as well. I can just pull them out and interview people, but even with little tiny microphones, sometimes when you pull that out, people can be like, whoa, the voice changes and they're like, yeah, you're recording me.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. You need to do it covert, just attach it to your watch or something, but then you got to hold your hand in their face.
Yeah. And could probably find myself in court, maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, true. And I was just offering them some tips and tricks and things, and I don't know how it went from that to... I think I said I'd take some of your audio and show you what it can get turned into.
The whole reason for starting a podcast was to share my stories. I had this fear of losing my memory as I get older, which I think everyone has that fear, and I want to be able to, when I'm 80, or even hopefully older than that, listen to these stories and go, wow, I lived a cool life. That's probably the main reason for starting a podcast, but also for advertising. And people might say, what is it like to come on one of your safaris? And just go, here, listen to this podcast. I'm actually on that safari when I'm recording this with guests, and so people can hear the stories.
You would have heard in my latest episode when I was talking about, I will get the biggest kick out of when someone tells you that they're booking their trip with you and they go, yeah, I found you through the podcast.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And
Yeah.
people are listening, and it's just a matter of timing, I guess. And
I can totally see it happening. If you've got that thing in the back of your mind where, I'd love to go to Africa, go on like one of those safaris or something, and then you listen to the podcast, you get to know you. It's a no-brainer.
yeah, and it's not even about the safaris as well. It's about, plugging the work of really important sort of conservation initiatives in Africa. So, for example, the last couple of episodes have been about Kopi lion, and now people are starting to follow them, and you never know what that might lead to. They might drop a big donation or...
Are you seeing new people following?
I've had a few people contact me about Mama Simba, Ingala, and say how inspiring she is and how, her story was really powerful. And
Yeah.
so I've fed that feedback. I've given her that feedback, and she still can't believe it.
If you haven't heard that episode, that's episode 5, I think, of the Safari Life. And when you just said before about, you'll look back and go, I led a pretty cool life. Yeah, you do. We, all the time, my wife especially, or both of us, it's just mind-blowing. To go and do one of those, just to go over and do a trip, people come back from that just going, oh my God, it was amazing. It's life-changing. You're over there all the time.
Yeah. I just got back 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So now I'm back into the swing of zoo life and home life.
Yeah.
Which that's still exciting as well. I still had that little part of the other part of my life is just as exciting.
Yeah.
Just not traveling as much. But yeah, someone said something about my work. Your work is amazing. And Wayne, a gallery owner that I'm working with, he said, no, it's your life. This is not your work. This is your life.
Yeah.
So I was like, it is. Yeah, it's not work.
At some point, I'm going to share some of our WhatsApp messages.
Oh, jeez.
I'll run them by you
Maybe
first.
proofread them first.
Yeah, that's right. I just shake my head sometimes. You'll be just sending me a message from, I don't know, on the edge of the crater.
Go on, say it.
Ngorongoro.
You did. My sister and I were laughing at you saying Ngorongoro on the podcast. this morning.
Ngorongoro.
Yeah.
There's another N in there somewhere.
It's not Nazi Goreng. I've had people call it Nazi Goreng crater. Ngorongoro. The N is just... it's not, it's Ngorongoro. You don't go Ngorongoro. It's just slightly pronounced.
I just call it the crater.
Yeah.
And
that works.
you will send me a WhatsApp voice message from somewhere over there, and I'm just hearing the crazy noises in the background. I think there were a couple of baboons fighting or something.
That was funny.
At one point.
Yeah, that was my interview of Kimani. We were sitting on the steps of the Kopi lion office, which is on the rim of the crater, and a huge baboon troop kicked off. They had a massive fight, and I had to stop talking and acknowledge that because it was it sounded like children screaming, but it was actually baboons.
So when you're recording, because you can record anywhere, I told someone the other day that one of your next episodes is going to be from India, and you'd just been talking to people outside the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, I wanted to do something different. I go to the Taj Mahal a lot. Every year I go and I try to... There's only so many ways you can photograph the Taj. And I thought, I can do something different this year. Last year I focused on... It was International Women's Day, and I photographed women looking beautiful at the Taj, because women love to go and get dressed up and do selfies. And I don't know, they just feel... It's a very special place. So this time I interviewed a lot of couples and people and asked them about what their take on what love meant to them, and would they build something like the Taj for the person they loved. And it was quite funny.
Is that the story of the Taj?
Yeah, the Taj was built, a man that had many wives, but his favourite wife, he built it for his favourite wife. And unfortunately, she passed away before it was finished. Or maybe he built it after she'd passed away.
Huh.
It's quite a sad story.
Yeah.
He built it for her. So I think her body the tomb is in the Taj. And then his son put him in jail. On the other side of the Taj Mahal, there's the fort, the Red Fort. And he could look at the Taj through a tiny window for the rest of his life.
Oh, no.
I don't know if I've got the exact stories right, the exact detail right, but basically he was going to build a black Taj opposite the white Taj, but he was put in jail before.
Okay, it's a temple?
No, it's a mosque, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It's a mosque. It's so beautiful. But yeah, hearing people, when you go there, it's this really lovely vibe. Everyone's there and everyone's having a great time and getting photos, and best people watching on the planet.
Why are they getting photos of it? Is it because there's that one, I know the shot from how I can picture it.
The Diana shot, is that what you're going to say?
Oh, what's the Diana shot?
The Princess Diana shot. There's actually a chair now there that I think they put it there for Princess Diana. It's when she first broke up with Charles and it was public, and she was at the Taj for her. And there's this photo of her sitting on this chair in front of the Taj, and you know how she would sit and she'd be very...
small.
She made herself look really... And she just looked really sad in the photo and lonely, and it was a really powerful shot of her just looking... lonely and isolated at the Taj. And like lots of people like to sit on that chair because that's where Diana sat.
And then, but otherwise, you get that shot from outside, but then is it all like beautiful inside?
Yeah, it's amazing. Every time I go there, it just takes my breath away.
You go there all the time?
I go there every year. So yeah, I've been there like 8 times or something. One of my favourite things about going there is that there's a very special bird that lives at the Taj called the Egyptian vulture. It's like critically endangered.
Oh.
People travel all over Africa to find it. And
It's in India.
I've seen it twice now on top of the Taj Mahal. It's had a nest. So I'm bird watching it, and there's like loads of parrots. So I'm doing a lot of bird watching whilst I'm at the Taj.
What's my new favourite bird's name?
Oh, the shoebill stork.
Shoebill.
Yeah.
When I posted that photo, I wanted to put up a thing saying that you were going to be in town and we were going to go along to this fundraiser, and if people wanted to come along and meet you. I went looking for a photo of you from your Instagram. There's not a lot of photos of you.
Yeah, good reason for that. I'm behind the camera.
And there's a whole bunch of animals and birds and a lot of cats. Big cats, that is, not the little ones.
There's some little ones on there.
Are there?
Yeah, there's a couple of little wild ones like caracal and serval.
Oh, yeah. That's Froz's favourite animal.
There you go. Well done.
And then I saw the photo of this. What bill? Shoebill?
Shoebill. So they say the beak looks like a big shoe.
Yes.
You see, was your first thought prehistoric? Like this thing looks like a dinosaur or a large like puppet?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, like something from the Labyrinth or something, you know?
Yes.
What's the name of the guy that does all the puppets?
Jim Henson.
Yeah, it looks like a Jim Henson puppet.
Really does.
And when they look at you and then they lower their head just slightly and the eyes are so direct and it's really creepy.
I like the looking over the top of the glasses.
I got mated by one, technically.
I'm sorry, what?
I got mated by one, technically. In Uganda, there's the Entebbe Zoo. They take on a lot of confiscated animals that can't be rehabilitated or put back into the wild. They have a shoebill that was someone's pet, and he surrendered the pet. His name's Sushi, the shoebill. Very famous. He's all over the internet.
Oh, really?
And I go and visit him on most of my trips, and it's cool because you get to go in there and get up close with him and really
but how
get to know him.
close?
Very close. Like to the point,
I know.
to the point where he starts displaying, and they do this thing when they put their head down and they clack their beak, and it's really quite a loud sound, and they sort of display to you. And this one time I was in there, I've got a photo and a video of it somewhere. This one time when I was in there, Sushi decided to jump onto my back, and this is a big bird, like they're standing, like they're huge. He's on my back, and he is basically rubbing his cloaca. That's a great word, isn't it?
First time I've heard cloaca in the pod van.
Yeah.
I think so.
On my back whilst grooming, like whilst pulling my hair in his beak and like nipping at my ears. And my guest thought it was the most hilarious thing on earth. I was a little bit nervous, and the zookeeper, I was like, come on, man, get this bird off me. This is hilarious, everybody.
Yeah, are you kidding? This is the highlight of my day.
I've got the video and the photo somewhere, but I was a little bit nervous because it's a huge bird, but yeah.
I'm just trying to picture what your kids would have looked like.
Creepy as hell.
It's like humans with massive noses.
Yeah, he fancied me out. Oh, look, it's the biggest compliment. I'll take it. I mean, if the Shoebill likes me, well, what else is there left in life, you know?
I think you on safari in Tanzania or something recently, and you stumbled across some, was it lions mating?
Yeah, I've seen lots of lions mating.
Do you?
Yeah. It's quite a common, if you're around lions a lot, there's a chance you'll find, like when you're on safari, you've got a good chance of seeing mating lions.
Because I'd be like, let's not look at them.
People really want to see, like people will say to me, I really want to see lions mating, and no one says that's creepy, but when you think about it, it is creepy. Why are we fascinated with watching animals mate?
Do people say that to you? I would not say that to you.
Imagine if it was people mating out on safari or something.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that couple in that car over there mating. Like, do you go, oh, you creep? Like, that's creepy. But if it's an animal, no worries.
That's fine.
Cool. That's cool.
Well, that's just an SOS, isn't it?
Yes, that was actually, people are loving the SOS episode.
Are they?
Yeah, I bet.
So
some of my
funny.
guests are like, I didn't get an SOS.
For those who don't know, that's sex on safari, which it's a thing.
I don't know if it's still a thing, and I don't know how much Feroz exaggerated that whole story as well.
Because it was about a guest that thought it was going to happen with Feroz.
And he was like, no, thank you. He did say to him, if she was really young and hot, would you have considered it?
Yeah, maybe that's when you said before about which zoo was it that's an awesome zoo?
Entebbe Zoo.
Right.
It's in Uganda, yeah.
What do you reckon's the best zoo? Because you've worked at Taronga and North Sydney, and then you work at Western Plains.
Yeah.
But you would have seen Lots?
No, it's funny, I'm not a zoo person. I mean,
No, of course you're not, because you don't need to see them behind
but
their
even
things.
when I was
and-
younger and not traveling as much, I had the most really honest conversations with my guests about zoos. A lot of people are like, they hate zoos, and it's like, then they talk to me for a few hours in a vehicle and they come around and go, actually, zoos are really important, which they are. I've worked for Taronga for almost 20 years, and I haven't actually seen a lot of zoos because when I travel, I go to the wild. So my zoo is the Serengeti.
Yeah.
But I like zoos that are doing a lot for conservation or helping animals that need help. And not so much, I guess, back in the day, zoos were like, trying to get people into the gates, and they were stamp book collections like, oh, we've got a lion and we've got this and we've got giraffe and we've got rhino and all these species everyone wants to see up close. But I like the zoos that are focusing on rehabilitating wildlife or working like Taronga Western Plains are doing amazing jobs. Amazing job. You would have met Leone from the zoo with bilbies and chuditch and plains wanderers.
Yeah,
and
that was
Regent
really
honeyeaters.
interesting finding out about that
That's
stuff.
gold stuff. That's the stuff that I'm super proud of with the organisation that I work for.
Most people aren't going to be able to go to Africa and see lions, so it's pretty cool to be able to go and see them.
Yeah, absolutely. And
At the
people,
zoo.
especially young people like children and teenagers, and like you said, families can't afford to take them overseas to Africa to see lions and elephants. If they can go to the zoo and get that connection,
Yeah.
that
and
inspires them to go and
Exactly.
support
Potentially-
conservation or go travelling and just get out there and help.
It's sort of, it opens the door, doesn't it, really,
It
with
did
that?
for me. If you think about it, I went to Africa before I was a zookeeper, but working at the zoo has inspired me to go. For example, one of the images that are going to be in my upcoming exhibition is a bongo, very endangered antelope that I care for at the zoo.
Oh,
I didn't even know what a bongo was before I was a zookeeper.
I'm pretty sure it's a drum.
Well, it is.
Woody
It's a
Harrelson
bongo.
plays him naked.
It's a bongo drum.
Oh, yeah.
But it's actually one of the most. It probably is the most beautiful antelope in Africa, and not many people know much about it. And I didn't know anything about it. And now working with these animals inspired me to go to Kenya and look for one and become one of the first people on the planet to photograph one on foot.
What?
Yeah, so I was going to talk to you about that. With some of the photos that are going to be up my exhibition, they've all got great stories, and that's one of them. And without the zoo, I wouldn't have been inspired to do that. Or if I didn't have that connection with those animals and learnt more about them.
You got a really big guest on your next episode. It's me.
I was looking at you like, what?
It's this big guest. So actually, in this episode, I wanted to bring up some of those photos because you've got your exhibition coming up, and it's in North Sydney. It's around North Sydney, Northern Beaches.
Northern Beaches, Cromer, which is, just near DY.
It's an exhibition. Have you done a photography exhibition before?
No, this is what am I? I'm halfway through life, really, hopefully. Oh, no, hopefully I live more. But I'm 42, so this is my first time in my career. I've been taking photos since I've been a kid that I've had an exhibition. So it's my first. I've been involved in other people's exhibitions, but this is my first solo exhibition.
Is it 50 photos, or am I making that up?
No, 50 was going to be too much for that space. It's about, I think we've got about 32 or 33.
I mean, how many photos do you take?
I've got millions, I reckon. Just in my current Lightroom catalogue, which is where I edit my photos, from the last maybe 3 or 4 years, I've got over 250,000 photos. But then I haven't culled like this.
You don't cull. You couldn't
No, I do.
cull.
I'm getting good at culling now. I'm sitting on photos from 6-7 years ago that I think are absolute bangers. Like they should be in the exhibition, but it's getting away from me. It's like a paperwork that's piling up.
When you're taking photos, you use a Canon. Is yours a Canon?
It is, yeah. I'm a Canon girl.
Yeah. So was I.
Unfortunately, not sponsored, but
Well, we need to make that happen.
We do.
Have you tried?
It's quite tough.
Is it?
Yeah, to become an ambassador for Canon.
Because I was.
Really?
No.
Tell me your secrets.
Mine was a 7D.
I had a 7D.
Did you?
Yeah. And I love Canon. I like the way Canons operate. I like the feeling. Like I just met a wildlife documentary maker in Africa, and she shoots her video work with Sony, and then she shoots stills with Canon. And I said, "What's the difference?" And she described it beautifully. She said, "Sony so sharp, you can't for film, for movies, you can't compete with the sharpness and the crisp, cool colours." She said, "But for stills, Canon is king because there's this beautiful warmth."
When you're taking your photos, so there's I don't know, some big cat taking something down, you're like, ooh, great shot. Are you going...
Yeah, it depends on what the behaviour is. So, if, for example, one of my shots in the exhibition is a cheetah hunting a small wildebeest calf, And that sequence, I took maybe 200 or 300 shots within a minute. So when I play it back on my laptop, like just the photos, it's like a moving picture. I could turn it into a movie just from the photos. It's unbelievable. And the camera I currently shoot with is an R1. It's Canon's best camera at the moment. It's sort of for wildlife and sports photographers. And the beauty of it is it can take, I think it's 16 frames per second. And if you hold the shutter button down, you can take easily 100 to 200 shots without even buffering, without stopping.
Wow. Hence why you have 250,000 photos. Let's have a look at some of the photos here because I've got them on the screen. As you're listening to this, if you're listening to it, this is a video episode on Spotify as well. So the images that we're talking about are actually up on the screen. So you could be looking at what we're talking about. So did you say it's a wildebeest?
It's a little wildebeest calf. So it's only a couple of days old.
Aww.
I know. This is the sad part. So in the southern Serengeti in February or January, this year was actually really early, it was December, you get about close to over 1 million wildebeest giving birth on the short plains. So the short plains, the grass is really nutritious. So it comes up, the zebras come in and they mow it down and you've got these short little bits left. And that's where all the phosphorus nutrients are. And the wildebeest eat that for their calves. Need that, they go and eat, and that's perfect energy, great nutrition for having their calves. And they hang out there for a little while and they start making their way back up to Kenya. So this is in southern Serengeti in Tanzania. What happens is every predator, it's like a buffet, right? It's like the world's biggest buffet. Wildebeest are quite easy to prey upon. So you get a high density of predators. You get cheetah, leopard, lion. I mean, lions are territorial, but the cheetahs have massive territories and they sometimes just move. So all the cheetahs will come into that area. Hyena, jackal, everything. Birds of prey. Birds of prey are after all the placenta that's laying around. So like vultures are like the cleanup crew. They come in and clean up all the placenta.
You have a very weird life.
Yeah, I'm talking about it like it's just normal, aren't I?
Yeah, I know. And you do this all the time. Yeah.
It spins me out.
It's because I wouldn't see you getting emotional over taking something down and then just chomping on it.
No, I do.
Do you?
I got emotional in my car yesterday just listening to a sad song on the radio. I'm a very emotional, highly sensitive person. And I cried after that hunting sequence, mostly because my adrenaline trying to capture the shot was through the roof. So my energy levels get to a point where I can't, I'm just bursting of energy and I just start crying. I was crying because it was a bit sad, but it was also happy for the cheetah, but I was also happy for me because I was like, yes, I got the shot with the new camera that I was having troubles because it's a new camera and it's got so many different settings and buttons, and I was just happy that it worked out.
Yeah.
I've literally watched some really brutal things happen in Africa and I've been crying through my viewfinder and I'm still taking the shots, but I'm crying. Like my guests aren't even crying, I'm crying.
Yeah. Have you had guests that have just been way too upset over some of the things they've seen?
Yeah, my energy can really, I would be very careful of it. I can bring people up and bring people down, just from my energy. So if we're at a really, I guess, kind of confronting scene, I've got to make sure I'm trying to not be too emotional. But I've had guests, that have been very upset. One guest, Tony, she won't mind me mentioning her. She's one of my favourite people and she's been on many trips and she doesn't like seeing kills. And so she'll say to me, what trip do you think has the least amount of chances of seeing a kill? And every time I tell her that, we see loads of kills. So one trip we were in Southern Africa and we watched lions bringing down a buffalo and that was pretty full on.
Yeah.
And buffalo do not give up. Cheetahs, when they make a kill, it's quick. But buffalo fight. And so we ended up getting another vehicle there and getting her onto the other vehicle so she could leave.
Oh.
She put her headphones on. And so she deals with it really well. She'll say to me, I'm not comfortable with this, but I want everybody else to, if they're, wanting to watch this and they're fascinated by it, I'm not, not holding that against you guys. I'm going to put my headphones on. I'm going to look away.
I think I would be more like Tony.
Okay.
I don't know that I could handle just watching animals killing each other. I get it.
It rarely happens. In the scheme of things, I've done hundreds and hundreds of safaris and I can count on the two hands, I think, how many kills I've seen that were quite brutal.
Just not Tony's trips.
Yeah. People, actually, a lot of guests will say to me, what trip should I avoid? What trip do you think is going to have the most hunting action? And I'm like, I can't. I would say Southern Serengeti is one that has more potential because cheetahs are hunting. But when cheetahs hunt, it's not confronting. Your adrenaline is going. So when you see a cheetah take off, just happened on my last safari, the fastest animal on the planet is a cheetah. Do you know what the second fastest animal on the planet is?
What?
A Thompson's gazelle, their prey. So it's the two fastest animals on the planet.
Really?
Yeah, following each other.
Wait. The cheetah's the fastest, the other one's...
Fastest. But they move like the Thompson gazelle are like so good at moving. But
Good sidestep.
They do, but the cheetah does too. And you'll notice the cheetah has, in that photo, you'll see the tail up. The tail acts like, is it a rudder? Is that what we say? Like it helps keep balance and able for them to turn and not lose their balance.
Wow.
And to watch that, and it's incredible. And then it's like, just when you think the cheetah is in full, like that's at top speed, it's like they hit that, is it nitric acid or whatever it's called?
Oh,
What's it called?
Nitros. Nitro. Oh, yeah.
You know, when Vin Diesel and Fast and Furious,
Yeah.
he presses that button, that they just go another level. And everyone just, you hear everyone in the car go, whoa. And
Really?
one,
So
no
they
one
go-
stands a chance of getting a photo because particularly if it's their first hunt, because it just happens so quickly and your heart is racing. And
What sort of distance are we talking?
500 meters,
Really?
maybe even more sometimes.
Because I thought cheetahs, like they have that crazy speed, but it doesn't last very long.
Yeah, so you have to get pretty close. They probably get maybe 50, 60 meters from their prey.
Is that crawling down low?
Leopards are the crawlers. They're the ones that are doing most of the crawling. Cheetah will get down low, but then they'll sort of sit behind a bush or they'll just go flat.
Okay.
You just sit. And sometimes it's hard. As a photographer, I've lost a cheetah so many times and then you don't see it until it takes
Really?
off. And all of a sudden, if you haven't got a camera that's good at grabbing focus, you can screw up massively. But I just tell my guests for the first cheetah hunt, just watch it or film it. Or spray and pray. That's what I do. I just spray and pray, and hopefully, did I get that in focus? Is that
Again,
yeah.
hence why you have 250,000 photos in
Yeah.
your Lightroom.
But it's like you can't. The look on my guest's face when they've seen a cheetah, whether it's been successful or not successful, just that whole watching the fastest animal on earth run across the plains. It's amazing.
Yeah, wow.
The wildebeest calf in this particular sighting, something I forgot to mention is
Went on to live a long and beautiful life. End of story.
Unfortunately not, no. He was lost. So sometimes when you've got a million wildebeest and you lose your mum, you're in trouble. So
Oh, no.
And
Because they all look quite similar as well, I think.
yeah, if you start actually watching wildebeest, they do look a bit different, but there's just so many of them, and if they don't imprint on their calf in the first few minutes, or if the calf can't keep up, you look across, it's sad. No other wildebeest will take them. They'll push them off. And so you get these little wildebeest just wandering around.
They won't take the other wildebeest.
Nope. They won't get adopted. And then sometimes, for some strange reason, I don't know how to describe it, they see our vehicle and they might come running towards it and bleating. And that's what gets my guests in the fields. It's
Yeah.
like a little lost. So this little guy was...
Open the door, let him in.
I know, it's hard. This little guy was lost, and we sat with this cheetah, and there were some gazelles not far from her, and she was not interested in them. I said to my guides, something's going on here. Like, that's so easy. Those gazelles haven't even seen her, but she's looking in the distance. And they're like, don't know. And then after 5 minutes, we finally saw in the distance, it was a speck. It was a little lone wildebeest calf, but she could see it so much further and 5 minutes
Really?
before us. She watched it. It was coming closer and closer. And then she just got herself into position. And then as she took off and chased it, even though this calf is only a couple of days old, his instinct's like, uh-oh, this is trouble. He starts running. And he ran directly past our car and she tackled it right next to the car.
No.
And that shot is just her. What I love about that shot, and it's, bad day for the wildebeest calf, good day for the cheetah, but you can just see the moment her nails are about
I was
to...
just going to say, I've just zoomed in on it.
Yeah.
Those claws.
So they're non-retractable. So like lions and leopards and your house cats can retract their claws.
Right.
Cheetahs can't. They need it for grip. That's what they grip on when they're running.
Oh.
And you can just see the moment her paws coming down on that as she's about to tackle that animal.
Yeah.
You know what? That's the best thing that could have happened to that little fella. That sounds weird.
Yeah.
I would much rather him be cheetah kill very quickly, and it's not messy. Like if it was a hyena, it'd be
Yeah.
Or he'd die of starvation. So
Well, that's
I think
the
it's
other thing. Yeah.
That's what I tell myself when I'm crying to my
Good.
camera.
How far away is this from your vehicle?
About 15 meters, probably.
Whoa.
Yeah, we positioned ourselves quite well, but at the end of the day, that was just right time at the
That's
right
just
place.
luck.
It was luck.
You can't
It was.
know where they're going to run, which
No.
direction it's going to run
It's
in.
so rare. That's the first time ever in
Wow.
my safari career that I've had a tackle happen perfectly parallel to the car.
All right, moving on to the next one. I'm going to call this one a snow leopard. It doesn't look like a leopard. It's in the snow, or it's floating in the clouds.
Oh, that's a sculpture. So that is an Andean puma. So puma are a cat. They're not a big cat. Also known as cougars,
Oh, yeah.
mountain lions,
Okay.
panther sometimes. They're the animal, I think, in the Guinness Book of Records with the most amount of names.
Oh, right.
Puma concolor is a scientific name, but these guys are found in like the very bottom of South America. So they're Andean pumas. And last year, probably one of my best adventures I've ever done. I went for a week in Patagonia and was on foot with them for 5 days. And
What do you mean?
from me to you away, like on foot with my camera gear and a guide who's been watching them since that one was a cub, just hanging out with them and following them at a safe distance.
Essentially a mountain lion.
Yeah.
Is this in the snow?
It is. So we got lucky. We went to Patagonia, and the time of year we went, there's normally not snow. We were a little bit too early for the snow. This particular area, they've not had problems with them. They're tolerant of us, and like, I guess,
Oh, my God. You just described every cat.
yeah. Cats, you know why people don't like cats?
Look, it's as simple as the cats are assholes. That's all there is to
But
it.
the pumas are, this particular puma, her name's Escarcha, and out of all the pumas we spent with, we spent the most time with her. Her name means bitter frost in Spanish. And she is the only cat out of all the cats we saw. We saw about 16 different pumas in that 5 days that would look straight at you. Like, she really looks at you. She came out of the bush one day and she like almost brushed up against me. She was that close, and our guide said, just stay still and don't move your feet about because the vibrations would upset them. Just stay still. We found her in the late afternoon. She was with her mother. Her mother is a very famous cat called Pataka, and she's on all the National Geographic documentaries. And she still hangs out with her mother, even though her mother booted her ages ago. We found her that afternoon with her mum, and she was on the side of the road. It got out, and we were only like 10 metres from her for that photo. I just saw her sitting, and it was snowing. And I just thought, oh, here's my chance to get something really simple but special. So I got down into this ditch. My angle allowed me to look like she was just covered in snow.
Yeah.
And then she just stared at me, and I was just like, oh, you just know when you've got that shot.
No.
I just knew straight away this is something special. Like, I wouldn't do that with a lion out in the, out in the savannah or something. That would not be cool.
You just seen my face. I'm looking at my iPad and I've just flicked over to the next photo. What one do you think I'm looking at based on my reaction there?
The gorilla.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's...
Well, you know that gorilla. I've already talked about that gorilla.
Is that the one that put his hand
Yes.
on your...
That's Rakundo. He's,
I shouldn't pause that. He put his hand on your...
Yes. My ass.
if you know the story.
It would be so funny if it was my chest, wouldn't it? No, it was definitely my stomach. So I've photographed him many times. I'm actually going to go back and see him this September. So it's like visiting an old friend. He's just a real sweetheart. He's just very sweet.
He's a big boy.
And I love that photo of him because he's just sitting there just being so... we came around the corner, I guess. I did 2 gorilla treks last year. And this was the first one. And when we turned around the corner, he was just there sitting like that.
I was going to ask you, do you have those moments where you're hiking in there, you're hoping you're going to see them. There's no guarantee you're going to, I suppose.
There's a pretty big guarantee with the gorillas.
Oh, yeah.
They still say it's not 100% guarantee, but I've done like over 10 gorilla treks now and I've never not seen them. I've seen them every time.
Because, do they sort of hang in the same area?
They do.
Yep.
Each day, depending on where they want to eat and what food they want, they go to different areas. So the first day, they were eating a lot of bamboo shoots. They were in the primary rainforest. The second day, when you touched my stomach, they come out of the primary into the secondary forest, which was basically converted farmland that they'd given back. And they were after berries. So he was moving me to get to the berries that were above my head.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen that clip, oh man, go and look at it on my on Bobby Joe's socials. Yeah, we made a clip out of it, didn't we? Or did you already have? Well, you had the footage
yeah, and then
from
you made
it.
a little clip of it too with the story over the top of it.
Yeah, that was from when we first met. You were telling that story,
Yeah.
and then you said, I've actually got the video of it, and so I put that to it. He's come walking over towards you. Oh, what a freaky moment. And then he just gently moves you to the side so he can reach
and he
the
sat
berries.
there next to me eating the berries, I never tire of it, but the thing I get really excited about is my guests seeing it. Even just recently when my guests saw their first tiger in India, Caroline from South Africa, who spent so much time with big cats and she'd never seen a tiger, we saw one and I'm just grabbing her and smacking her. I tend to I don't know if it's an energy transfer, but I grab people and I'm like, oh my God, I get a real kick out of sharing that moment with them and seeing them get excited by it. So it's so nice. It's such a high.
When she saw the tiger, how far away are you from?
Oh, we were only we were in Kaziranga, which is a very hard place to see tigers. It's the first time I've ever seen one up close in Kaziranga. And we weren't expecting to see one. We had it all to ourselves and it was just in the bush, but all you could see was its eyes looking through the ferns.
Scared the crap out of me.
That was good timing.
Oh my God, the camera just fell down. Oh my God, that made me jump. Just as you're
It's like the ghost in the darkness in the pod van.
But how far away is the tiger from you?
Oh, it was only maybe 5-6 meters. But we were in a vehicle and it was sort of down the gully.
That photo is incredible.
And all these stories, I'm not in that much detail, but there'll be like a story of each photo when people come to the exhibition. They can read, or they can actually even scan a QR code, or when they buy the print, the story will be with it. So
Right, so all these photos that you've got on display, they're all for sale.
absolutely.
Look at this photo of this elephant that you've put in here. That's a great one.
Oh, Dita. Yeah, still got 2 elephant shots in the exhibition, so I was trying to think of which one.
You used to be a elephant keeper.
Yeah, I was an elephant keeper for many years at Taronga, and then moved out to, the whole reason I moved to Dubbo was to come out before we sent some elephants to Dubbo, and to welcome them when they arrived.
Who's this elephant in this one?
Her name is Dita, and she was the queen of Savo. So Savo, East Savo National Park is in Kenya. It's a huge national park. It's very famous. It gets smashed by drought a lot, but it's very famous for having that really rich red soil. It's famous for the lions, the man-eating lions of Savo. Have you ever, you know the movie The Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's about Colonel Patterson was a guy, they were building the railway line through Kenya or through Savo, and these people just getting eaten by lions.
Oh, I think I did see it.
Yeah, it's a true story. And that's in Savo East where this photo was taken. For some reason, Savo National Park has some of the biggest tusker elephants on the planet. And most people refer to tusker elephants as just an elephant that's just got tusks. But a tusker is, the tusks have to be a certain weight and diameter and length to be called a tusker.
As in like Tusker.
Yeah, tusker. Yep. So African elephants, both male and female, can have big tusks. With the Asian elephants, the males get the really big tusks. And the females have a little thing called a tush, or a set of tushes. So they're just like small little tusks under the lip. So Dita is probably, I think, still to this day, she's passed away now, unfortunately. She was the biggest female tusker on record. So even though she doesn't really have the weight or the width the males can get, her length of her tusks were, she was almost touching the ground.
They look like they'd be cumbersome. Yeah.
I just watched her, and there's another one, I can't think of her name right now, and we photographed her as well, and I watched her cross the road once. She come down sort of the side of the road, and her tusk got caught in the ground, and she stumbled, and I was just like...
Oh, no, I tripped over my teeth again.
know, yeah.
Well, it's not
a bit long on the tooth, yeah. Yeah, no, it is their teeth. It is essentially an incisor. And yes, it is a tooth, basically.
I tripped over my teeth.
It has a special dentine, like a crisscross matrix kind of that's how it's special because it's a tusk.
But there's no use for it.
Oh, no, definitely they use it for fighting, and it's a genetic thing. Like, you know how they say in Australia, it's so obvious. People go, oh, we did a paper on this, and it's like the big males, kangaroos with the big biceps females want to breed with them because it's good genetics, right?
Right.
And that, to me, that's so obvious. Like, but then it's not when it, you know, brain capacity. You know, most guys I look at that have big muscles are not really doing much for me up here. So it's like these guys, I think they get favoured by the females because they've got the big tusks.
Oh, right.
Lions with big manes. That one's good for genetics.
Is that right?
Mate with that one.
How shallow.
Very shallow.
Of them.
I know. So hopefully these guys, and the weird thing is the head of the Savo Trust, I've spoken to him, a wonderful man, he said to me that it's normally in the last decade of their life that their tusks will really grow, which I found really interesting. And luckily for Dita, they found her, it was really, I actually cried. They found her, it's a success and it's sad. They found her from like an aerial patrol. She'd been dead for, I think, a week or two, or maybe, I don't know. Things perish pretty quickly in Savo. But they found her tusks were intact, which is, the photo was really confronting, but it was also really amazing that she lived a full life. She would have had attacks on her for sure.
By
humans.
Right. I was going to say, because no other animals are going to want to take her tusks.
No,
but yeah,
so
that's the
she
thing,
would have been
isn't it?
dodging poachers big chunk of her life.
How old?
She was in her 60s, I think.
Wow.
60s, I can't think off the top of my head. That she died with her tusks. So that's really quite special. I feel very privileged to have seen her in the wild.
I love the stories behind these photos.
Yeah.
The exhibition is on.
So opening night, which everyone's invited to, you just have to RSVP if you'd like to come, is May 17th, 5 p.m. at Northern Beaches Gallery in Cromer.
Okay.
You do need to RSVP to attend the opening night, so you can shoot me an email, info@bobbyjoesafaris.com. But then the exhibition is open for 2 weeks, up until the 31st of May. You can pop in there and look at the images, and you can buy them if you like.
So cool. I hope someone's listening to this that is, loves their art, wants to get a new piece for the wall or something, has heard your stories and goes, oh, that.
There's a few photos that people haven't even seen yet that I've not shared with anyone on the socials.
Wow.
It's taken me all my strength not to, because I like to share things. And I also created a virtual exhibition so people can't make it there in person if you're, interstate or overseas and listening and would like to see it. I'll be releasing the link to the virtual exhibition probably a day after the opening.
Yeah.
You can actually buy, look, see the stories. It's pretty cool.
So cool. All right. The next episode of Safari Life with Bobby Joe, as I said earlier, big guest, real big guest. Just don't know how you even managed to lock this one in.
Yeah, pulling a big favour.
Yeah, obviously some sort of wildlife expert or something. I don't know what I'm doing in your podcast, but we'll have a bit more of a chat about some of the other photos as well from the exhibition and the stories behind them. I love those. So that's in Bobby Joe's next episode. It's episode number 6 of Safari Life. So I'll see you in your podcast.
Okay, cool. Can't wait.
Podcast with Rabbit.